What's going on? What's going on? This is basically something that I didn't think I would have to do, but apparently the FBI has caught active and former NBA players as well as coaches and refs and basically a gambling conspiracy. Okay. Um if you haven't heard before, it kind of goes like this where people that play that sports bet, they always conclude that it's something that is fishy, something that is not normal. Like it's not normal play. It's not normal for the average player. You got a player that normally scores about 25 a game. All of a sudden, they only scored 8 points. That type of stuff. Because basically, as it's come out now that basically players is cheating. You got to understand, it's only so many top players, right? It's only even some. We could even go there. I mean, it was alleged that Michael Jordan cheated while he was playing basketball. It's something. It's something going on with sports betting that goes back for a long time, and people can't seem to not cheat the books. One of the things that I found is because I started sports betting about 3 years ago. Actually, to be honest, really seriously sports betting about 2 years ago. But not even really. I think like probably after this NFL season, it'll be like two years. But I mean, basically, when I started sports betting seriously, I knew that it was something fishy. Because and it still goes on like this. It's still fishy things. Like, for example, you'll have a 16 leg parlay. And in case you don't know what a parlay is basically multiple bets on one betting slip. So if you bet three different player props, that's a parlay. Even if you have two different bets, that's a two-leg parlay. Each bet is a leg. So different sports books have different rules. Normally, like FanDuel doesn't let you bet anything over 25 legs. 25 legs is the max that you can put on. I don't know about other books, but basically, each all it takes is one leg that gets blown and it blows the entire bet. It doesn't matter. Small, large, whatever. One leg off, it blows all of the other bets off. So you got, like, for example, I'll just be recent. D'Angelo Russell last night, he missed one assist. He was one assist away from basically getting four assists. And that one assist would have literally won all of my bets. He said all sports is fake. Now, fake, that's another, like, I mean, fake, I don't know about fake. Like, the actual play is not real. I'm not saying that, but it's definitely something fishy, something like as far as people have gotten caught actually defrauding the NBA as well as sports bettors. So I'm gonna get right into it. I got a lot of stuff that I have from Twitter, okay, that basically will talk about everything that's what's going on now in regards to this matter. It's not something that's fake. This is actually something that actually is going on. It has drawn attention to the top police in the nation, which is the FBI. So now this is national news. Okay. Now people have they don't have any alleged uh things that it's not conspiracy anymore. It's actual. Once it becomes someone's get caught putting their hand in a cookie jar, it's actually something that's actually valid. Okay. And everybody knows once the feds get you, they got some strong evidence. Once they actually get you, they got you actually. They have your hand going in the cookie jar. They have the cookie residue on your fingers. Okay, so it's legit. It's a legitimate cause of concern as far as this actually isn't my first live stream that I did regarding sports betting and allegations of cheating. I actually did a sports betting. I did a live stream about a year ago, and it was a famous sports bettor, old sports bettor that's been betting probably before I was even born, or as long as I've been born, maybe, and they actually know when players are not playing normal, and even they say other experienced sports bettors, they report it because it messes up the fair play. I mean, it's supposed to be fair play. Like, people are supposed to be playing sports and competing, right? Not competing so their homies can get the under on their parlay and put $1,000 on it, and mix it with some other plays, and it's almost like it's a guaranteed leg, which, a guaranteed leg is not bad in sports. It's actually not bad because it's almost like it's a guarantee. It's almost like it's almost like kind of like it's a wildcat. You can add that free play with other bets and actually win. It's something that is a big deal. Okay, especially if you're if your homie is in the NBA or in the NFL or something like that, or playing baseball, they can give you other insight, like basically don't bet this player to go over because basically the coach doesn't like him, or they won't put him in the game, and they purposely basically undermine their minutes. So that information gives you other players that you can also bet, so it's like a player that's actively playing can give you insight that you otherwise wouldn't have, so that's another thing that you got to keep in mind. It's a big deal. If you're like a role player that comes off the bench, let's just say you're not even a role player, and you're not gonna be a valid Hall of Famer. This is just a job that you have. You having fun. You've already been in the league for some years, and you don't really got no money to give your homies back in the hood, but you can give them a guaranteed over bet by faking an injury and basically not even being in the game. And you can basically have your whole hood get paid. That your whole hood, like every week, you just come, you see your homies putting on chains and everything on Instagram. They buying new chains because you basically faked the injury during the game, and thus went under. Which basically, if you don't know what it's a betting. It's a type of bet. It's called an over and an under. So basically, either you're gonna go over this particular amount, let's say like 10 rebounds. You're gonna either go under that or over that. Okay. And if you go over it, you basically go over 10 rebounds, or you at least have to get 10 rebounds or more. With under, you just have to not get that many, right? So basically that's what an over and under is. So anyway, let me play this because this is pretty juicy. You know, this is getting really, really. This is only we are only halfway into the first week of the NBA season. So this is pretty fresh off of the presses. And keep also in mind that the Portland Trailblazers are a playoff contender. They are a playoff contender team. Okay. I actually was rooting for them because they looking pretty good. Okay. They are beating you know, top teams, like they're able to beat, like, you know, other teams, right, that are pretty good as well. Like, so this is going to be very interesting because this is their coach, okay, ex NBA player Chauncey Billups. Let's play this here. See what this commentary. This is a sports commentator here. I forgot his name, but he's going to be talking about this here. This give you the update on what's going on.
Chauncey Billups arrested, Damon Jones arrested, Terry Rozier arrested, kind of sort of for different things. Terry Rozier giving inside information to the homies, and then, you know, oh, my foot hurt, and then not playing, people banging the under. Allegedly, Damon Jones is tied up in perhaps giving inside information to gamblers because he had some gambling issues himself. Chauncey Billups, where Damon Jones is involved in both stories, got arrested, but he is only involved in the poker fixing. The games are being played, and there's x-ray machines that are reading the cards, and some of the shufflers are in on the scam. And you ask yourself, like, what kinds of people have x-ray machines?
So Chauncey got caught up in basically some type of illegal gambling operation. And when I say illegal gambling operation, basically most people don't have a gambling license. That's something that you know, it's a big deal. Like, most people that have gambling licenses, they're either extremely rich and they have ties to other politicians and people in the gaming board. I mean, you know, it's a lot of ties, a lot of red tape that is involved in getting a gambling license. Nobody has a gambling license, right? Because if you got a gambling license, you have a casino. So what people do, and I'm not saying I'm not opposed to this, but what people do is they have private poker rooms, you know, the basement. They'll have, and it'll be live. It'll be actual, like, just like a casino almost. Like, it'll be chips. It'll be actually money. It's not like, you know, a volunteer game. It's an actual, you're walking away with money, right? So the chips are live and the money is live. You know, gambling houses is, like, you know, risky because it's risky for the person involved with the gambling, because if people get a word out, they know where your gambling location is. They can rob that location and rob the actual gambling house or place or wherever the location is. So it's risky, and then it's also risky on the player's part because, okay, casino, you kind of know casinos on the up and up. They're going to pay you if you win for the most part, unless you got caught cheating or something. They're going to pay you. But you don't know this gambling house that your friend goes to that you don't really know, you've never been, you don't know what they're going to do. So apparently this is what he was running, which it's a lot of dudes like that run private pokers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just something that people do like that. You know, I'm going to tell you something, like, private gambling houses or whatever it goes back to before I was even born. And it's in the I think it's in a book. I think it's in a book, The Black Bourgeoisie. The Black Bourgeoisie talked about private poker, you know, and stuff like that, you know. It's something that, like my grandparents, like my grandfather, he used to go to, like, private poker rooms. And I mean, like, it's just something that people do. Like, it's associated with the upper middle class, actually, in the upper class. Like, they do private things. They have private gambling houses. So I'm not opposed to it, but it's illegal. Okay, you get caught, you get caught. And especially, apparently, They got some big people that went to this gambling house, and again, also it wasn't on the up and up. I mean, they had, like the guy said, he had a freaking X-ray machine. They had special glasses where they could see the person's hand. They could see the hands of the different players. It was pretty Gestapo in a sense that everything was probably most likely destined for you to lose your money, okay, and everybody else to win that's involved. So yeah, that's probably somebody that lost a lot of money, probably ratted out to the feds what was going on. That's my speculations on as far as what's going on, because obviously they found all of these devices and everything like that. So this is all past tense.
And bogus shufflers, and the answer is
yeah, and they said they had shufflers, card shufflers that automatically shuffled the cards according to where the cards were going to be dealt. And obviously the people that were, invited to the game, they were on the losing end of that. Allegedly.
Mafia. The words Cosa Nostra are being used in reports. Chauncey Billups allegedly was the face of rigged poker games that were run by.
And if you are dealing with the mob, okay, let's just say the Italian mob just don't let anybody involved with them and be associates with them. So it's usually long-standing ties. So if he's hooked up, he's probably been hooked up for them for years. So, I mean, that's kind of what I do know about, the Italian mob. They deal with people on a legacy base where, if they've dealt with you, they've dealt with you for a long time. It wasn't nothing that was just overnight. This is like, who knows how long he's been dealing with these people, you know what I'm saying?
The 5 families. The 5.
And you don't really hear about the mob no more. The Italian mob, you don't hear that much about the Italian mob. But the Italian mob is still active. They still are. They're younger, obviously, but they're in the shadows. You know what I'm saying? They're probably more deeper in the shadows than they ever were, because it's like people don't even believe that there is a mob. But you still have people that are ancestors of these Italian families that are still running these organizations. They just younger. These are millennials, Gen Xers, and even probably Gen Z now that are running or mob affiliates now. So you wouldn't think of it. I mean, I can see it, and I can put 2 and 2 together, because I can, you can kind of, it's a certain persona. You see a young Italian guy with a lot of money and cars, he might be affiliate. You just, it kind of gives that off, that the kind of gives itself away. But a lot of people don't think like the mob of the 70s and 80s and even 90s with basically John Gotti and all of them. It's a totally different mob. That's not the mob of right now. The mob right now is a little bit different. They probably more into maybe online gambling, online crypto stuff, and all kinds of other things other than basically what you probably would consider the mob did in the 70s and 60s and stuff like that. But maybe they were trying to get back into it. Thus the reason why this affiliation with this poker room has to be some type of a deal, because basically they're saying allegedly that Chauncey was the person that was recruiting other players, probably former NBA players, former whoever, former entertainers, people that's part of the, ex athletes, coaches, probably other entertainers, other rich people that might have money to play poker. He was his job was allegedly to recruit those people to come into the game, and basically automatically lose their money. I mean, it was all designed to lose your money. Like it kind of makes me think of even the casino, what the casinos have, because I never thought of it on some Mission Impossible stuff that people will have X-ray tables and special glasses or contact lenses where they can actually see the cards. And I just never really thought about all of that, but you never know what, you never know what the edge the casinos even have, you know what I'm saying?
Families had an NBA head coach in their pocket. That's going to be a shame-filled mugshot. By the time people hear this, it is possible they would have already seen it. He's supposed to be in court on Thursday afternoon. That's going to be a guy looking like, oh, how did I get here? And I want to know. I have no idea. I've been saying for months that a gigantic scandal was coming down the pike, that we did not necessarily know what the scandal would be. I find it unlikely that all of this is about 3 people.
Yeah, so again, I mean, they getting Chauncey for basically a poker game. They're not tying him in to actual live sports betting on the NBA. But they basically got Terry Rozier for that, allegedly. Now, it gets deeper than that. The speculations of who could be cheating versus who can't, who are the perpetrators of cheating, right? If you wanted to cheat on these sports events or sports games, who are the perpetrators? Okay, first of all, is just off the chain, off the top, the referees have a big to do on the outcome of the game. They can basically, almost like the U.S. Treasury or the Fed, they can create a recession. They can get the country out of a recession. Well, in a way, referees are kind of like that too, where they can kill the momentum of one team and push it towards another team by a particular key play, calling it a certain way, having fouls on particular players. In the NFL, you can only have 5 fouls. Is anything over 5, you get kicked out of the game, right? So they can do a lot. And then also, I would say, secondly, the people that can obviously make a big impact on the game is the players. The players themselves can make an impact. You got to understand, right? Like I said, I'm 2 years into this, like seriously. I mean, damn near every day. Like, this is like, I look at this shit like, I don't really look at it like a job, but it can be lucrative if you know what you're doing. I don't, I mean, what I'm saying, it's risky, but it can be lucrative, right? But I'll say this. Last year, there were 2 players that got caught cheating that I know of. I'd have to look it up, but it was quite a few. It was a couple players. Even they were alleging certain players were cheating last year. They were talking about Terry Rozier last year. But it was some players basically arrested or charged for gambling. Basically, they were kicked out of the NBA. Okay, last year. Okay, and these players were just like probably players that they would probably be lucky to get an NBA contract, a 10-day contract. Like they weren't like the best players. You know, so everything is tying in. All the news reports are tying into basically these players that they caught. But last year, some players got caught last year gambling, and they got kicked out of the league once they found out that they were gambling. Okay, but yeah, the players definitely make an impact on who can make money. Like basically, very simply, you can have your uncle, your whoever bet on the game, and you already know the outcome because you know what you're going to do. You're basically going to fake an injury in basically the early third quarter, and you're going to basically tell the people that's involved to go for the under. Okay. That's generally how that works. So yeah, like this guy here, you say like poker games where his house. Okay. This guy here, he got caught for cheating last year. He did very similar to what they allege Terry Rozier for doing. Basically, Jontay Porter. This guy actually is, I think, Michael Porter Jr.'s brother or cousin. I'm not sure. Yeah, his Michael Porter Jr. is his brother. And Michael Porter Jr. is like, he's basically one of the top players on his team. I think Michael Porter Jr. now is with the Nets. He's a better player. Like this guy, he wasn't gonna be nothing but a guy coming off the bench, probably in the fourth quarter, or maybe when a team is up by like, sometimes when teams go up in the NBA by like 20 points or higher, they put in the reserves to give the top players a break, and it almost kind of like stick it to the other team. Like we don't even have our top players. We have our, B and C players, our bench players, still pouring it on you, but this guy, he got caught allegedly texting a group chat on April 4th, saying that he might just get hit with a RICO the same day he was banned for life for basketball for betting on games. So this guy basically, he got caught last year. This is Michael Porter Jr.'s brother. Okay. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal, very, very big deal. When you think about it from a perspective of you are guaranteeing someone to win, well, shit, ain't nothing better than damn near guarantee. I mean, you could just put, you just basically put $1,000. $1,000 is more than enough. Actually, $100 is enough. But 1,000 on a guarantee can do a lot of damage on the sports books. If you, let's just say, for example, you notice, you already know your homie is in the NBA. He gonna go for whatever cut that you give him, or he ain't gonna even probably take a cut. He just want to see his homies. It ain't no fun when the homies can't have one. Well, if you damn near close to a 10-day contract NBA player, you lucky to even be in the NBA. You don't have enough money to ball out of control. You're not balling out of control. You might make like, your salary might be like $300,000. You sign. You're not a 10-day player, but you damn near close to it as far as where you rank amongst other players. So you don't really have a lot of money to, basically give your friends a Lamborghini and a Mercedes, or, to shower your homies. So the best you can do is, to still be a legend amongst your friends is let your friends have a free bet every now and again. Your friends, they just average workers. They got mortgages, they got car payments, they got child support payments. Just go over one game. What's one game that you just get out in the third quarter because you pulled a hamstring, and then your homies put $1,000 minimum on a bet for you to go under, and they done made 30 racks. They done made 70,000 off of you going under by them putting $1,000 on the bet. You a legend. And then everybody in on it. And everybody, you come back home for Thanksgiving and everybody high-fiving you. They got chains on because you basically made your peers rich off of you just basically tanking in the third quarter, whether you tank or whether you get injured, But let's say if you're just not a player, what if you also are a coach? Coaches don't make see one of the things I'll have to say when I really looked at sports betting, and I got a big brain. I'm a pretty smart guy, right? Basically, I could tell who the main basically orchestrators of the game is, and that's the coaches. The coaches are, in my opinion, the ones that nobody really would suspect is basically has anything to do with the outcome of the game, but coaches have everything to do with the outcome of the game. They can put players in and out. Well, if a player is not in the game, they can't score. They can't do any statistical action while they're not in the game. Well, the coaches are the ones that dictate who goes in the game or goes out of the game. And one of the things that I found out was the coaches were the main persons that pissed me off when I was betting last year on the NBA, because you will see players that basically they had one point to get or 2 points or something. Next thing you know, the coaches, signaling to the player to get out and get on the bench. And it's like, you can't really beat the coaches. You really can't, like you can be like, okay, well, I won't play this player and all of this. And it's part of the reason why I stopped doing player props for the NBA kind of last year. Last year, I just started doing money line bets, which basically is a team against another team. If one team wins, they win. If they don't, they don't. And the reason I started to do that was I noticed a lot of weirdness when it comes to these player props. And I would have to even say another aspect of it is the sports book, or in the industry, we call it Vegas. We like, okay, Vegas really needed this. This is a Vegas game, meaning that this game is heavily favored on Vegas to dictate the outcome, because Vegas is the ones that has to pay for any wins or losses. So when everything is kind of weird and it doesn't make sense, and a team loses a particular way or is not playing a certain way, we say in the industry, in the sports betting industry, this is a Vegas game. Meaning, people associate Vegas with, because before there was sports betting nationally, only two places you can sports bet: Vegas and Atlantic City. and basically anything between that was basically through a legal booker, a legal sports book, which was associated legacy wise with the mob or the mafia. They were the known kind of illegal private books, sports books, and it was associated with you getting your legs broke if you weren't able to pay. Well, now people can use their phone and they don't have to worry about getting their legs broke because you're not getting any credit. The reason why people were getting their legs broke was they were getting credit from these sports books. Even there's players that actually bet sports and they were getting in trouble with these sports bookies because they owed them money, so because they owed them money, they had to basically tank a few games. They had to disrupt their normal play and actually play for the sports bettors. I mean, the sports books, so it does get, this is a really big deal, especially in the 80s and 90s, during the Jordan era. There's allegedly rumors that is still to this day that the reason why Michael Jordan's dad died from a gunshot wound, he had something to do with gambling. It has something to do with gambling. That was what they were saying. That was you ask any old guy in Chicago with gray hair about Michael Jordan and his father, they will tell you, in Chicago, they will tell you the same thing, that same rumor, that it has something to do with the bad gambling debt. That's what they say. Now, that, I don't know. I just, I read, I'm from Chicago, what I'm saying? And basically, I read Jordan books. I read a book that Jordan wrote when I was in high school, and one of his girlfriends, when he went to North Carolina University, was found dead in his trunk. And being in high school, being older, knowing about the mob. I mean, I'm from Chicago, so you got the Chicago outfit, you got the New York outfit. Chicago is a major crime hub, and of course you have the crime families that have some linkage, very much a major linkage with Chicago, all going back to the Capone days, even before Al Capone. Okay, so I immediately, when I read that, I was like, this is something fishy here. He was the mob probably was on him when he was in high school. I mean, in college, probably, trying to intimidate him to probably do some things. And you don't know what they did, right? You don't know what the secrets that Michael Jordan has regarding that. You wouldn't know unless you were around him. Now, the thing about it is, I mean, Chicago is so small. The degree of separation, even to Michael Jordan, is only one person. I know one dude that knows him, that works with him, and all of that. But that's beside the. Actually, I know two people. I actually went to high school with a guy that worked for Jordan, the Jordan brand. But nevertheless, I would love to know. I probably wouldn't be surprised, because in the world, one of the things that people don't understand about, let's just say, the wealthy and rich world, people assume, and I don't. I dropped the link in case anybody wants to come up and talk about this, or they got something to put on this as far as what input they have. Drop the link in the chat. But one of the errors that people have about the rich and wealthy world, or rich and wealthy people, is that they're different than poor people. Poor people do all kinds of stuff, good and bad. And they assume, just because people assume, have a fallacy that they believe that people that have money are angelic, or because they have money already, they don't have to do illegal things, or they don't have to take risks. So everything is just by the book, and everything is normal, and there's no crimes being done. There's no people stealing, no people committing fraud. They believe that because people understand the reason why a poor person will rob or steal or do something, because they don't have any money. Well, a wealthy person, a rich person, they assume that because they already have riches and wealth, that they won't do anything like, defraud some sports book, or try to be, involved in some type of racketeering or something like that. But you got to understand that money is money. Whether it's what is called black money. Black money is basically any money that's made off of illegal activity, or basically underground money, or regular, legitimate business. Well, you got a lot of people, a lot of companies. That's why they get these class action lawsuits, because they doing all kind of illegal things. They're doing all kind of illegal activities, and they get dinged for it, and then they pay, have to pay some type of settlement, But, FanDuel might give you if you got FanDuel, you might get like a class action probably in the next 2 or 3 years, because FanDuel is doing all kinds of shady shit. I promise you they are. It's just, it takes them time to actually get caught. Basically all it takes is basically a prosecutor or a district attorney to file suit. They file a suit, and it goes before a federal judge, and it goes through a process where basically in the end damages occurred and compensation has to be paid, right? So like I said, the sports books also involved. So those are, the parties involved: the sports books, the refs, the players, the coaches. Well, this is a famous ref that got caught actually gambling on sports, okay, and got arrested, and of course got banned by the NBA. And basically, he said quite a few things in this interview that bodes very true to this day. Very, very much, very important to this day. Okay. This is, what's this guy's name? I think it's, let me see here. This guy's name is Tim Donaghy. Tim Donaghy. Okay. Let's see what he got caught basically betting on sports while being an NBA ref. Okay.
I do believe Allen Iverson knew this, and I believe all the players know this, that certain referees treat them much better than others.
Donaghy told us that 2 years ago, Iverson had incurred the wrath of the refs.
He had threatened one of our officials, and the NBA fined him $25,000. And we felt as a group that he should have been suspended. And because he wasn't, we felt like we would teach him a lesson.
During that time, you worked an Iverson game January 6, 2007. So you bet against Iverson's team.
Correct.
Because you knew that all the refs were gunning for him. This was openly discussed.
Openly discussed. And I knew that the other two referees and I sought out to do a little justice of our own.
The refs quickly called curious fouls on Iverson, including rarely called fouls for palming.
And Iverson still upset about that palming call.
They threw his game off, and his team lost. According to the game's announcers, even late in the game, you kept hurting Iverson's team by letting defenders bludgeon him without calling any fouls. Watch.
Tim Donaghy will not call a foul when Iverson goes to basket. about 3 in a row where he got to the basket, got fouled. We thought no call.
What are we looking at?
We're looking at a foul that was let go. Obviously, in the pregame meetings, we came to the conclusion that we were not going to give Allen Iverson any marginal plays to the basket. And that absolutely should have been called a foul that I and the other referees passed on.
Did anyone in the NBA know about it?
There was a group supervisor at the game that came in at halftime who was laughing and stated that he felt that Iverson had gotten the message.
So the supervisor approved of your punishing Iverson?
Yes.
The NBA would not let that supervisor or any of its refs talk to us. In that game, Donaghy did make calls that helped him win his bet, but he insists that wasn't the point. He says all he wanted to do was punish Iverson. But yes, he did win his bet. Special Agent Philip Scala, who retired from the FBI last year, told us Donaghy would bet on a game when he knew who the refs were and that they felt strongly about certain players.
Yep. So there you have it. I mean, this is one of the many refs that he actually got caught. Some refs, I think they quit or they got fired or something like that. Because it looks bad. If the NBA is involved, it just looks bad. So they really try to hush that up. They try to keep that, like right now, this bad PR for the NBA. All of this is bad PR, for the NBA. So there's other refs that's involved as well in this situation. But let's play this. And actually, believe it or not, Gilbert Arenas, he actually got caught actually having a private poker room himself. I think he's still fighting it. He's still, he still got to go to court for this. Okay, so this was just for basically having a private poker room. Okay, so it's kind of like very similar to what they trying to get Chauncey Billups for, and I wouldn't even be surprised if Gilbert was invited to Chauncey's poker room or already have been to one of Chauncey Billups' poker rooms, events or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I would not be surprised. Okay, but this is what they got to say about this.
But here's what's cracking.
No, we got something to discuss. But I'm good for all the trolling. That's cool. But Rachel Nichols is foul.
What did Rachel Nichols do good?
She used my video and she actually wrote that I possibly snitched.
Oh, no, Rachel.
I listen, I'm going to troll with the best of them. But to ask that question,
no, she didn't do that.
because then it makes me really want to, first of all, 2 of them niggas is gambling on NBA. 1 is throwing poker games and robbing his friends. Ain't got shit to do with me. I'm going to tell on this nigga. Wow, I'm going to tell on him. You know what I mean? My case is all a whole bunch of Igors and Igors, right? And I don't like this, what's going on. I see the word mafia.
Yeah.
But the only faces I see is Negroes.
Yeah. Not Crenshaw Mafia.
NBA. You know what I mean? It's NBA like, wait a minute, hold on, man. What's going on here? What y'all going on? What the NBA do to y'all?
Brother polite. Brother, that's
I had to think
brother
about
knowledge.
it. It's mafia, but it's just local.
You've been
black.
around brother knowledge. You've been
Just
around
local
brother.
black.
Been around brother
The
knowledge.
international crime bosses, blacks. Hey. Okay.
You need a face.
They don't got jumpers.
You need a face.
They don't got jumpers. None of them gave Kobe
I'm
60.
gonna look, I watch enough movies to know the last group you want to snitch on is the mafia.
Right.
Yeah.
Adam Silver, you wasn't gonna open those arenas up as polling stations.
Listen, I watch Dateline. They still ain't found people since 1947.
When you seen them?
I like my YouTuber career.
And we enjoy it as well. Get blessed to be employed by the good folks over at Underdog. Whoop whoop.
Woo woo.
But we have
Kwame
some.
still out?
What?
No, is Kwame still out? Because I swore I told on him plenty of times.
Still,
Like I know, like
still in
what I'm
YouTube
saying
jail.
is like Georgia, like he's in your area. Just pull up. You gonna find something. Just pull up. You gonna find something. You gonna find him, his brother, one of them. Woo.
Nah, you still want to.
So him and Kwame, they got some beef. They got some beef together, but that's that's a whole nother story. So let me see here, see what else content do we have. Okay, so this is like basically the press, the FBI making a press, basically reporting to the press. Okay.
3 of the named defendants are charged for their alleged roles in both schemes. This alleged illegal gambling operation hustled unwitting victims out of tens of millions of dollars and created a financial pipeline for La Cosa Nostra to help fund and facilitate their organized criminal activity. Victims were attracted to play alongside well-known professional athletes and coaches like Chauncey Billups, only to be unknowingly deceived through rigged shuffling machines, fixing the odds in their favor, as alleged, and as you just heard from the U.S. Attorney's Office. This alleged scheme wreaked havoc across the nation, exploiting the notoriety of some and the wallets of many to fund the Italian crime families here in New York. 3 of the named defendants are charged for their alleged roles in.
So there you have it right there. Basically, you have FBI, basically stating their case as far as what has happened. Okay. It's a lot of fallout. It's a lot of fallout from here. A lot of fallout. Let me see what else we got here. All right, this is another press play here. Let's see here.
New York with major breaking news, as we've touched on early this morning, from the NBA involving not 1 but 2 arrests of notable people within the NBA. Shams is with us. We've been following your Twitter feed all morning long, Shams, as you've been reporting on it. For those who've not heard anything about this, just tell everyone everything they need to know. What has happened this morning?
Greeny, Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier have both been arrested this morning. Billups at around 6 a.m. in Portland, Oregon, and Rozier around 6 a.m., I'm told, in Orlando, where the Heat were playing last night. Rozier's been arrested for his involvement in alleged sports gambling, prop bets, and Billups, ABC News is reporting, is tied to an illegal poker operation tied to the mafia. And so the FBI has been investigating this situation for several months, and in Rozier's case, at least 2 years. And today is making arrests. There is a press conference that is set by the FBI. The Eastern District of New York has been leading this investigation. I'm told FBI Director Kash Patel has also been increasingly involved in recent weeks. He will be leading the press conference today as well. But this is really seismic news in the NBA for a sitting NBA head coach in Chauncey Billups to be arrested, taken into custody for alleged illegal gambling, as well as Terry Rozier for sports betting, allegedly. 2 arrests made this morning. There are expected to be numerous arrests also tied to both of these situations.
So the NBA wakes up this morning in the midst of, I suppose you would have to say, a sports league's worst nightmare. Is there any indication that the league had any idea this was coming? Did they know any of this might happen this morning?
As of last night, I was told the NBA did not have knowledge of these specific arrests. This has been led by the FBI. The FBI made their arrests early this morning. But the NBA has been investigating Terry Rozier, Malik Beasley. Terry Rozier was cleared by the NBA investigators over the last couple years. That's why he's been playing in games. Malik Beasley, a free agent, has not been cleared by the NBA's investigation. That's been ongoing. As of about 15, 20 minutes ago, I was told Malik Beasley was not taken into custody today as part of these gambling investigations and arrests today.
So, yeah, there you have it. So, there's a lot going on with sports, right? I'm in closing, I'll just have to say it like this. It's a lot of people that don't want people to make money in this country. And it's a cabal of people that don't want you to make money. And I will say sports betting is one of those avenues where you can make money. The average guy even can make money. Even, I'll be honest, the below average guy can make money, possibly, right? And I just believe that this is just another way of kind of gatekeeping people to not have to cut off avenues of possible financial freedom. Okay, because the money that you can make from sports betting is possible financial freedom. Like, there are professional sports bettors that's all they really do. They probably do other things because they make money and then they put, into real estate or something else, but that's all they do. So I just believe that, kind of, being unfair, it's just another way to stick it to the man trying to make some money. Just stick it to him, right? If you in the know, you in the know, right? But how many people are, friends with people that play in the NBA, right? It's only a small percentage of people that are in the NBA. And, it's like if you know someone in the NBA and they gonna look out for you for a game, maybe it's your birthday or maybe, something is that you need some money and they don't have any money to give you. So they just gonna be like, on this day, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and then you bet for it and you make a whole bunch of money. I mean, it's like not everybody has a friend that plays in the fucking plays professional sports. Okay, it's just not reality. So you won't be on the up and coming of that, right? So it's just unfortunate, but I will say, because of this, kind of these investigations going on, I have some glimmer of hope that it will be some type of fair play, right? But I don't believe it will, because believe it or not, the reason why I went so hard on the coaches earlier is because the coaches don't really make that much money. You could see, right? Chauncey Billups, he made, most of the bulk of his money playing in the NBA as a player, right? And when you are a coach, even if you're a really good coach, you're not going to make the money like a LeBron James or Anthony Davis or a Luka Doncic or any player, right, that is a top 50, top 10 player in the NBA. You're just not going to make that money as a coach. You're going to be, lucky to make, $20 million over 4 years, $50 million over 6 years or something like that. So you're making a little bit of money, and obviously you're in the action, but you're not making as much money as those players. And nobody would think anything about the coach. They just wouldn't think of it, right? And the coaches are very much, they're able to do more than the actual players. The coaches, again, like I said, How about this? The coaches can basically do the same thing the players can do, but more. Because they can be like, well, you know what I'm gonna do? You know, nephew Leroy, I'm gonna basically tire out. I'm gonna run some plays and I'm gonna tire out our top player. Let's say LeBron James. I'm gonna tire his ass out. So by the third quarter, we're gonna be winning. We're gonna probably be up, by about 20 or more. I'm gonna start resting LeBron in the third. And then most of the fourth, if they, continue to win without him, I'm just going to rest him a lot. So me resting him will make sure, almost guaranteed that he will go under. Most of the people, most of the bettors will not like it, but, basically I'm just giving you the heads up on what you need to do, on what you need to bet. They can do that for every player. They can do that for, it's players that won't even get in the game. Or they'll get in the game and then they'll go right back out because a player is voided if they didn't play. If they didn't suit up and get in the game, the player gets voided. But you can just have a player go out and just, for about 2 minutes and they ain't do anything. And then they just go right back on the bench because that's where they normally are because they're like a third string player, right? They only come out during junk time, which junk time is like 2 or 3 minutes in the fourth quarter. That's considered junk time. Basically, as long as the game is not close, like they just let the third string go out and play, right? That's normally how the NBA works, right? Other sports work like that too, but not so much baseball. But the thing is like, yeah, all of these things are very important, and it messes up the fair play. And you can't make any money as a sports bettor if people are being unfair, right? And you're robbing the players, the fans that watch, the legitimate the true blood fans that watch the games, that they don't have any incentive other than they want their team to win. That's all they want. You robbing them, you robbing the sports bettors hard-earned money, putting up a bet, hoping that it's fair play, and it's not fair play because people are cheating. People paying their yachts, they're paying their private jets, they're paying for their homies to get some money in the hood. They're playing for their family. They got their family in on it, right? We're gonna go under this night. Once sports betting opened up nationally, a lot of people got involved. And a lot of people that got involved, basically undermine the game. They undermine the actual legitimacy of the game, the actual love of the sports. Last year, everybody was talking about NBA, nobody's watching the NBA. Well, this might have something to do with it. I'm not saying that they should ban sports betting. I'm just saying, like, these cheaters, man, they gotta go. They should be locked up. They should be thrown into jail, and they should be given lengthy prison sentences. That's how I look at it, because you basically you're defrauding the public. You stealing from people. You know what I'm saying? And it's messing up the integrity of the whole game.
Gambling and sports betting has completely.
So this is Kyrie Irving, his take on it.
Completely taken the purity away and the fun away from the game at times. I'm gonna just be honest with y'all. So, like, work is work, but the support around it can be very distracting. You know what I mean? There's a difference between being a diehard fan and supporting your team and loving your team versus somebody that's betting on a parlay or somebody that wants to hit. And don't get me wrong, I don't want anybody wasting their money on me. But god dang, like, this whole community of gamblers that's come into the game of basketball, Y'all tell me what y'all think. Want to gamble? Why don't you gamble on something that makes sense to you? And if you gamble on me, I'm not going to tell you whether it's a good gamble or a bad gamble. I'm just saying, you gambling. You going to win or lose. But that doesn't mean sliding into people's DMs or wishing bad on them or doing the extra shit that goes on, man. That, it blows my mind sometimes. You feel me?
There you go. So this basically is the FBI director Kash Patel. You know, his actual name is Kash Patel. So he's got, you know, he's part of this press conference, of course. Because it's involving the NBA and active players and coaches and refs and stuff. So let's see what he's got to say about this.
Good morning. Today we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Cosa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Cosa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchesi crime families. And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure. The men and women that are standing up here today worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation. And we could not have done it without our interagency partners that are before us today. The NYPD, HSI, and teams of law enforcement officials from around the country made this day possible. It takes a team to bring this kind of justice, sweeping justice, into the halls of the United States courtrooms, where our brave United States attorney has led this prosecution. It takes courageous prosecutors to stand before you and say, we will not allow this kind of illicit activity to happen, not only at the national sporting level, but also where it hides in La Cosa Nostra. And when these two collided together, they perpetrated a fraud that is historic in terms of not just money, but the scheme and the deceit that they utilize to steal and swindle people from money, to include crypto fraud. This is an operation that showcases to you that under President Trump's administration, there is no room for any type of criminal behavior, be it on the world's largest stage or in the back rooms of tiny parlors where card games are being played. We are proud to stand here today with the men and women of the FBI and this legal team. And to the United States Attorney, I just want to thank you personally for taking the time to display the work that the media is about to hear about today in detail. As I said, it does take courageous prosecutors, but it takes a courageous United States Attorney to bring this case, because we are going to take heat for it. But we don't shy away in this administration. We don't say no. What we do is we bring the results across the finish line. We bring them to the public. We bring you accountability. And yes, they will have their day in court, and you will hear the evidence through the court system exclusively. We will not deny anyone of due process. And that's the brilliance of this system. That's the brilliance of this administration. Everyone will be held to account. So with that, I turn it over to United States Attorney Nocella. Thank you.
So there you go, man. They coming after these sports gamblers, you know what I'm saying? So this is like probably, you know, like I said, this hasn't even been a full week in the NBA. Okay. This is like the second day of the NBA actually being you know, their regular season, right? So this is more to come. More people are going to be possibly indicted in this. It's going to be some fallout in this as well. You know, it's going to be some fallout. So this is interesting. You know, stay tuned. You know, it's more to come from this for sure.